All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna check out its local search and its city search, see if either of them got BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing a piece from the entire intent spectrum, wherever on the left, highest intent, wherever on the right, lowest intent. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, wherever on the left, we got BSS, boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google. And wherever on the left, the lowest intent people, that's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running a more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page 2 or deeper. That's gonna be a fast death for our business, because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website app, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers, because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a super-powered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if there's the same number of buyers remained, then, then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality. This, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine, so pushing me down to page 2. But that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites, and maybe Google will put me back on page 1, because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me, and just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, then and we only got 1 slot, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so a disappearing boudoir photographer. Did having BSS, this is the canary in the coal mine, kind of warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear. But luckily, we now have a solution. That solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. They actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So, SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our SQ methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page. And 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SQ methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, one tree with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1, on page 2 deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page 1. Because the 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page 1. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. Just our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So it's our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here, organic slot page 1, organic slot page 2, organic slot page 3, slot 4. Well, I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. Now, onto the main event here. We've got our Boudoir Photography business. Going to check on them and, their local search, their city search, page one on Google. Well, we want to see. And actually, I got to bring these over. So we're going to Carefree, AZ. Yeah, I do remember looking at that. Northeast Phoenix and then Phoenix, Arizona. All right, let's go over here. Boom. All right. Let's see what we got. Boom, we got one. Oh, Scottsdale. Okay, I think that's part of Phoenix. So, boom, got one. Boom, we got two. Perfect. I don't believe that's her. Okay, boom, we got 3. Boom, we got 4. Boom, we got 5. Boom, we got 6. Awesome, dudes. 6 out of 10. So we overcome. We do not have BSS, and we have achieved the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to see boudoir photography businesses doing for the best chance for themselves. And now, we gotta go to Phoenix actually. Phoenix. All right, so city is always harder to rank for because there's more peeps competing, more keyword momentum. All right, we got one. All right, so we do got BSS for. All right, so we got we do not have BSS, and we did hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for the local search, and we do not. We got BSS of for the city search, which city is always harder. Right? There's way more overlapping people trying to rank there. And we did not hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 on the city search, which is actually normal. I don't know if, unless it's a small city or kind of a small town, I don't know if I've seen anyone hit that yet, or maybe like 1 or 2. Very difficult though. All right, so if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search or city search with the highest intent boudoir by your keywords, and you're saying you got either 0, 1 slots there, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google, and you've accepted that page 1 equality is a false belief. The false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. You're seeing that Google actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you're actually seeing that SQ methodology is the only way forward, the only solution for you that can fix this. And you've been waiting for something like this because the ads, Google PPC, give you a best 1 extra slot, but momentum dies once you stop spending. These do have some momentum that does continue, not infinitely, but these do have momentum. And you like the initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google. You really like the second initial benefit, kicking your competitors off page 1 on Google, relegating them to page 2, and effectively rendering them invisible to approximately 80% of boudoir buyers that are using Google search. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, more peeps getting a gear, more boudoir photographers enter the market. Got it. But you're also looking ahead and seeing, man, AI is taking people's jobs right now. AI is going to be taking more and more people's jobs right now. Last time that happened, COVID, big influx of boudoir photographers happened as a result of that in COVID. So realizing, oh man, actually a much bigger wave than before is coming to boudoir photography, way more boudoir photographers. And you have decided that, man, you actually need to fortify your position on page 1. You literally need to have so many links, backups to the backup links on Google that they can't rank all your links on page 1. and they stay on like, page 2, 3, 4, because Google wants to put them on page 1, but now there's no more room. And you basically need to fortify your page 1 position to essentially guarantee no current competitors rank on page 1, and certainly no new competitors that come in from AI taking their jobs can rank on page 1. So you're seeing all that, and fortifying, kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because the city is below sea level. And you're saying SQ methodology is also the only solution for boudoir photographers that can do that. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility to become a visible boudoir photographer and achieve boudoir search visibility, because you understand you need to acquire these things, do all these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. You also like the future benefits of utilizing SQ methodology now, which we've not talked about yet, but every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, we are essentially creating these invisible thematic keyword columns that plug into our brand, our name, our website, associated with it, kind of out there in cyberspace, digital space. That actually means backend AI mindshare. We increase our backend AI mindshare for all these terms based on frequency, repetition, authority, age, relevance. And every single day we do this, it increases the probability we actually will get recommended for AI overview. So we're kind of building these thematic keyword clusters, invisible thematic keyword columns all around associated with our brand, our handles, everything about us. And AI can parse this. So we're increasing the probability of this, we're increasing the probability we also show up AI standard AI search, which is ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. Increase the probability we are showing up in all these searches as when people use their AI search. And yeah, Google's approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is increasing every single day. And when I last did an AI search searching for boudoir photographers, I searched the city. ChatGPT gave me only 3. So I actually went and looked manually for basically on Google and on Facebook, how many there are out there, and there's like 60. So it's like, man, we need every possible way to get recommended AI search if there's only 3 slots. And your CNS key methodology is the only solution that can give you the best, that can allow you to do that. And you understand that my current plan is to work with only 1 boudoir photographer per city. So what you've realized is you decide to become the first mover in your city, get that first mover advantage, kick out all your other boudoir photographer competitors, prevent them from using this strategy. You get all the benefits, more slots page 1, more people kick off page 1 to page 2, effectively making them visible to approximately 80% of the market. Higher chance of fortifying your position on page 1, so nobody can ever rank on page 1 besides you. Higher chance recommended AI search, higher chance recommended standard, or recommended AI overview and recommended standard AI search, approximately 8x faster in building a large, well-known brand, because you'll be seen across so many different surfaces. And building up a massive gap, kind of AI back-end AI mindshare momentum gap between your competitors in your city, with all of these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to your brand. And you understand the converse. If another boudoir photographer hopped on this, decided to go with me first, they would get all those benefits. You would actually be forced off page 2, and potentially you'd be forced off page 1, potentially also forced off page 2, and page 3 and deeper. Man, there's definitely basically no one going that deep. And you'd be losing that AI mindshare. Competitor would be recommended again, above and against you instead of you. You would be losing those slots, losing all that mindshare in the marketplace. And more boudoir photographers renting every day, so you'd actually be worse and worse for you every single day. And this means your competitor would be growing a gap between you every single day. You'd have to actually go rederive, or actually drive for the first time SQ methodology for yourself. And then you would have to go execute it, equal amount of execution as us every single day. And then once that happens, you're simply maintaining the gap that your competitor would have already built up against relative to you. So you're just maintaining the gap. So you'd have to actually outwork us 2 or 3x every single day to actually start to get some of your lengths on page 1 and go pull that back end AI mindshare back towards your brand for all these invisible thematic keyword columns. But during all this, you're still not even 100% confident you've derived SQ methodology correctly in the first place. So probably wouldn't be putting in 2 to 3x our effort into it, doing it yourself. And the second thing is, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this? So after hearing all that, you're like, screw that. I'm definitely being the first mover and adopter in my city, blocking out everyone else from using this. And as a result, we are, so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed because the hospital is currently closed to new patient intake. And then when we do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot us a DM then, and we will see if you qualify to utilize our S-Cubes methodology.